Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is Dee. I'm coming to you from CatalystEnergies. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is a Catalyst report that is a post-Saturn and Pluto conjunction follow-up, really, for all 12 signs. And this video is for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So Saturn and Pluto, it seems like a lifetime ago, and it was only just like 10 days ago, I think. Yeah, today's the 22nd. Had this major conjunction, something that had been anticipated for a long time, something that in astrology has been talked about for at least the last year, if not much longer, and it really solidified a major transformational shift in wherever part of the chart Capricorn is for you individually and for us as a planet. You know, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008 and really been just peeling away layer after layer of the aspects there that need to be basically broken down, destroyed and broken down in order to be transformed into something else. And so Saturn lining up with Pluto in these late degrees of Capricorn especially, really making it very real and very solid, as well as making it very powerful. And so I wanted to give a little bit of an overview and then a reading as well for each of the signs to show kind of a generalized feeling about how to move forward, because Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter are all in Capricorn, and they're all going to be here for the next year because they're all going to go retrograde. And so this energy and the themes associated with Capricorn for all the signs is staying in that particular area for the next year. So the themes are really not going to change that much when it comes to Capricorn, but what we will see is all the personal planets changing signs as they usually do, and having an impact on us personally and how we're developing and how we're having a relationship with that Capricorn energy. So for Sagittarius, Capricorn energy is the second house. It's what we have at our disposal materially. It's our bodies, it's our resources, physical, it's our financial, it's our, our energetic resources. It's what we've inherited, what we've come in to have at our disposal. It's the medium in which we find ourselves. It's very much about the physical incarnation of, of life and nature. So for Sagittarius, right now, Mars is in our first house, right? Because I'm also Sag Sun. Actually, I have a stellium in Sagittarius and a stellium in Scorpio. So life's been interesting. And Aquarius rising. So life has definitely been interesting. So Mars is in the first house for Sagittarius right now, and is on a crusade for truth. That is for sure. Truth and the bigger picture and understanding of the mechanisms that create reality. Sagittarius is about alchemy, really. It's about transmutation. And so Mars here has been really stimulating us, like giving us the drive and the ambition and the action-oriented, momentum to develop us as ourselves. Sagittarius is the seed point, the basic aspect of our personality. So Mars is really charging that for us these days and will continue to do so. But Saturn and Pluto, and today the moon is also in Capricorn. It's the first time she's been around to Capricorn since the Great Conjunction and since the lunar eclipse and since the solar eclipse before then. So this is the first time that she's come around and lined up with all of these places that have, especially the Saturn and Pluto conjunction point. And so it's really making it very personal in terms of how we feel about all of these things. And for Sagittarius, it's in the second house of our resources. So Saturn and Pluto have definitely transformed our conception of what our resources are, where we find ourselves, what are the physical reality and environment that we're actually in. And that might have been an actual shift in those things, like where we live, our money situation, our house, our bodies even. And Capricorn is very serious. It's very long-term. It's very ambitious and focusing on one bottom line. And so for Sagittarius, that makes a lot of sense too, because we definitely, as our personality, want to, we are engaged in the search for truth and always looking at that expansive understanding. And so what we have at our disposal at that point, what do we have what do we come in with that we have to use is very much material reality and material security and the power that comes along with it. So that's been absolutely transformative for Sagittarius. Now the sun is just within the last 2 days is now in Aquarius along with Mercury, and this is the third house for Sagittarius, which is about communication. It's about education on a grammar school. It's on like elementary education. It's the learning the how to live in this world. You're modeling behavior. You're learning the basics. It's communication. When it's communication with your siblings and stuff like that, it's because what you're doing is you're learning how to make sense of reality, you in the environment that you're in. The third house is about how you make sense of it, how you communicate it, how you conceptualize it, how you and how that information flows back and forth. And for Sagittarius, it's in Aquarius. The third house is Aquarius for Sagittarius, and so the place where the thoughts are flowing is very much in a house that is about fixed air, and Aquarius is about freedom. And so Sagittarians, I think, really want to break free in terms of the way they can, the very basic conceptualizing of reality. They want freedom. They want to be unique within that collective, and that's how they. It's the knowledge that they take in. It's what frames everything that comes after that. And so communication with Sagittarius is very sharp and it's very smart, and it has to do with a very laser focus on a unique perspective that might be outside of the box and is not very much about the traditional way of doing things, which is Capricorn, which is definitely the resources sector for Sagittarius. Venus has already moved through all these places and now is in Pisces, and Neptune has been in Pisces for a while and will continue to be there, which is the fourth house for Sagittarius, the house of home and family, and where we feel emotionally secure and stable. It's where we are allowed to be emotionally vulnerable and we feel safe. So holding space for ourselves, other people holding space for us. It's very maternal, womb-like. It's the vessel of the Holy Grail, for instance. It's what holds our emotional energy in order for us to express ourselves fully. And that's why it's our root system. It's what stabilizes us. And it's Pisces for Sagittarius. So we ourselves, as a personality, are looking up at the possibilities and the potential and the big picture. And it's really, we're always very optimistic and honest and, beliefs. Sagittarius is always looking, trying to, it's a very strong belief system and almost self-righteous at times, but where we feel rooted and secure and stable is in this very spiritual dimension, in dissolving back into the boundaryless source that we all come from. It's about compassion and forgiveness and spiritual love, and this is where Sagittarians really feel rooted and safe, which is nice because the fourth house is a water house, and so this allows Sagittarians to, the thing about Pisces, though, when it comes to the fourth house is a Cancer house, so it wants containment. It doesn't want to be in this huge boundaryless ocean. So that also, where Sagittarians could feel a lot of personal power, it could get dispersed really easily or get lost, or just kind of, you kind of lose your sense of self and your power when you dissolve into these places. And with Neptune here, the ruler of our fourth house, Neptune being here and will continue to be here, has caused a lot of fog. It's caused a lot of confusion. I think there's been a lot of impressions and intuitions and very powerful dreams, and we'll continue to get access to, being able to interact with this source field. But at the same time, you really lose yourself in here, and Neptune has not made it easy, and there's been a lot of confusion about where do we feel rooted, where are we feeling safe, where are we holding space for ourselves to feel powerful. Venus has made it very real as she's come into Pisces, showing us, where there's harmony in our relationships when it comes to this compassion and forgiveness and this willingness to kind of dissolve into the one. There's a lot of inspiration here and beauty. It's just a really nice energy. She also can get lost in Pisces, and when she conjuncts with Neptune, which is going to happen really soon after the new moon, actually, which is on Friday, this can be really inspiring and making this very powerful and beautiful, like compassionate, spiritual dimension. It could be bringing it into form, or she could get totally lost in there. It really depends on how you utilize it and what's going on in your own chart. But this is, again, for Sagittarius, this is where the stability emotionally is. This is where we feel our internal power is in this space. And so I think that, if we're really rolling with how the second house has been transformed for us, and we are willing to get to break out of our thought patterns into something more revolutionary and unique, it'll be okay to dissolve into this spiritual dimension that is like really without boundaries and very fluid, because we'll have already found stability in other aspects of our life. And especially with Mars, like Mars isn't afraid of anything. It's just very courageous and like crusades. And so that's really amping up who we are as a person, and our desire to be truth seekers, and our propensity to be truth seekers, and to always be optimistic about the big picture. Chiron in Aries is in the 5th house. It's going to be here for a while. This is, about what allows our hearts to sing, what makes us feel joyful, what is passionate, romance, being in another fire sign. It's definitely like, passion, lots of passion and activation, and Mars rules Aries, and so again it's very courageous, it's very action oriented, action hero. It's about creating something and having a lot of cardinal energy behind it. And so Chiron has been showing us, and will continue to show all of us, but for Sagittarians, it's showing us where we have this wound and this shame, this original shame around just being ourselves is enough to express ourselves, and being very fiercely ourselves is where we feel the most expressive and the most center stage for ourselves. And then with Uranus and Taurus, it's the 6th house, which is cultivating the inner mastery that you can then bring as your fullest self to a partnership, which is the 7th house. And Uranus is squaring the sun today, and so Uranus and for Sagittarians, that cultivating inner mastery is very much about the physical nature. Taurus is very slow to move, but is incredibly stable, and it's about the physical and the fertility of the land, of the earth, of the actual physical manifested reality. And so, for Sagittarians, we are drawn towards wanting to create something very much in real, that is stable and secure and grounded in terms of cultivating our own inner mastery. There's a lot of conceptual stuff going on at this point. And so by the time we get to Aries and Taurus, we're starting to bring it back into more of a individualized perspective, and something that's very much more tangible in real life, IRL. And so with Uranus here, shaking that up, what does that mean? Like actually, changing our routines, changing what we're eating, our health habits, that kind of stuff. And could have been, shift changes in our bodies in general in order to stimulate or activate a shift in our daily habits. Because the 6th house is like, what are you doing on the daily to create mastery within yourself? And then the sun today squaring Uranus, you have the Aquarius energy with the sun wanting to break free in your thought patterns, squaring Uranus, who's not really happy in Taurus. Uranus is wanting the lightning bolt, and Taurus is very much about the earth. But lightning is also a natural phenomenon, so they actually there are times when they will link up and resonate with each other. But the sun is really wanting us to break free and to to break out and be unique and find a unique perspective on things. And we're certainly feeling that as Sagittarians within the way that we communicate, the education that we have about reality. And it's really going to be stimulating Uranus to make even more change, I think, and especially because Uranus is so slow to move, or Taurus is so slow to move. It doesn't feel necessarily. It's hard for us to change routine and habits, I think, as Sagittarians. For that sixth house, it's very stable. So once we get a routine going, it's solid. But in order for that to happen, it's really hard. So Uranus, in some ways, is very helpful if we need like a kick in the ass about it. And the sun squaring that, I think, is just going to stimulate it even more, because we're going to want to like break out into new thought patterns and something that's original. And I think it's just going to push Uranus to like make change very physically and materially for us in that sixth house of cultivating the inner mastery. So that's kind of all the basic, that's all the basic astrology stuff for now as we move past the Great Conjunction. And all these personal planets are going to keep moving. Neptune's going to be in Pisces for a while. Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter are going to be in Capricorn, consistently drawing attention to this second house of what material resources do we actually have, and making really swift change there. So with the Akashic Tarot reading, we're going to look at all these, we're going to look at what the images and the archetypes have to offer us as Sagittarians and relate it to what's going on astrologically to see if we can get a fuller picture of maybe how to move forward. It seems to me that especially with the new moon coming in the third house, it's really going to be a time to set intention about what thoughts are we, how are we conceptualizing our reality? Like, what is it that we, how are we educating ourselves? How are we communicating? And that goes both ways. What are we allowing in, through our, what is our filter too? What kind of thought processes? How do we, and how do we communicate out? What are the words that we say? What are the symbols that we use? How do we approach our, our community, our family, like in the daily? What kind of ideas are we putting out there? So that's going to be a time to set some intention around those things. But for now, we're going to talk about the tarot and what's the energy coming into this situation for Sagittarius? What's been going on, in like real time? That has been something that we've been focusing on, or it's been happening, or the energy that's basically coming into the situation. This has come up a lot. I think people are really focused on their mission right now. The Eight of Keys, the Master Artisan. Now, this person, not only have they mastered their craft, they are now in a position where they can apprentice people, teach them, because they're a master now. And we may have mastered something as Sagittarians. We may have gotten to a point where in a very material way we have developed our craft, become a master, and are now in a position where we're teaching others. And there's a lot of resources here. This is a whole workshop. This is a whole studio where there are multiple people working on multiple projects. So it's it's getting to a culmination point of this mastery of a very material way. And I think that Saturn and Pluto certainly has had such an impact on what resources we do have. But this suggests to me that there has been an impact, especially with Jupiter too, being the sign of the teacher and the master, and understanding the alchemy of how, understanding how alchemy works in whatever situation we're talking about. That is a master. They understand the mechanisms that work and then can make actual physical change. The second house is that material, the material aspects that we come in with, and it's certainly shifted and I think has shown us our mastery. And that's what's been going on, coming into the situation. We've either been the master, we're working on being the master. We've internalized this energy, and it's very much about material, what we're building, which again is the sixth house and the second house for Sagittarius. So what's going on now? What's the heart of the matter now? So I laugh at like every card, but it just blows my mind. I've been reading tarot for like 25 years, and it just still blows my mind that these cards. This is the One of Keys, the Architect, but it's reversed, right? So what's going on right now is we have no idea what we're building. We don't have any plans. I think we feel this mastery. We know that we have it. It's coming in with us. But right now, in this moment, I think that there is a disruption of what we're building and what we're planning on building. There's definitely a shift happening. Or a recalibration, maybe just not knowing what's going on. I don't have a plan. I can't even draw up a plan, because the architect is the person who draws the plans, and then there's other people who build what they've drawn. And we are like at a point where we're barely like, putting together a plan for our life, which is again very interesting considering Saturn and Pluto conjunction in a very Capricorn Earth-oriented house. I think that we've been shown our mastery. We've shown our potential for mastery. Maybe we've mastered something else, but now it's time to like start the cycle over again, and we have no idea. We have no plan in place, and we don't know what we're doing. And the architect does function a lot in the mind. It's ideas and stuff. So again, Aquarius, the third house Aquarius for Sagittarius, we are feeling the need to break out and mentally and to conceptualize something very different or new. And this right now is what's happening, because we don't have it written down or planned. It's still in this like, percolation situation right now, but it's coming. So what is going on up here for Sagittarius? What are we focused on? What's in our conscious awareness? Ooh, Uriel and the Sphinx. This comes up a lot too recently. Number 21. Uriel is the archangel of Earth. And actually today, Mars is at 13 to 14 degrees. So in the Sabian symbol is 14 degrees. Sagittarius is the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx, actually. So this is certainly very appropriate for Sagittarians specifically, because this is where Mars is in terms of the Sabian symbol. And under, you have a lot of support from an archangel, to unearth what is under the Sphinx. And it's the idea that there is a legacy and a tradition of archetypal symbols and beliefs, that can be incorporated into a belief system that has been used in the past and is still completely relevant, and it's just buried under the Sphinx. Edgar Cayce talked about the Akashic Records being buried under one of the left paw of the Sphinx. I can't remember exactly. But what we're certainly considering right now, especially with Mars in our first house, is really, I think, unearthing some things. Getting down to the bottom of some stuff, like not in a very scorpionic way, but in a very physical way, and in a very like mystery school type of way. Like, what are the mysteries that are underneath the Sphinx? What is going on? And we have a lot of support from Archangel Uriel to go underneath, to unearth what's down there, those mysteries, because that's, again, it seems to keep going back to this Aquarian third house about like, breaking out mentally and new ideas and inspiration and like ingenuity in terms of what we know and what we're educated about and how we think about it. And I think we're really thinking pretty deeply about the mysteries and what is really under the earth and under the Sphinx. So what is going on underneath the surface for us as Sagittarians, like subconsciously? What's rooting us energetically? What are we not really aware of, but is certainly happening? Oh, that's so nice. Another archangel is Gabriel, and this is number 3. So that's a catalyst number. Gabriel has the trumpet. He comes and sounds the alarm for Judgment Day, right? He's the messenger archangel, and so there's a lot of support right now, and that is certainly a throat chakra kind of energy. But really, what it is the communication and the messaging piece. That third house in Aquarius. Aquarius is really getting a lot right now, I feel like, especially with the square to Uranus, which rules Aquarius, happening today. I mean, what's going on under the surface here, where we're rooted energetically, is absolutely in a message. And, Gabriel is sounding the call. He's alerting everybody. He's sounding the trumpet. He's the mouthpiece of God. That's right. That's what I was trying to get at. He's in the air, he's got these wings, and he's got these birds in each hand, you know, he's very much in the air too, which is interesting that he's in the air. I think he's the only one that has his wings open, other than Uriel, but like totally open and like in the air, and so it's definitely a divine message that's at the root, which is kind of interesting that they're kind of switched, right? That the divine message and the angelic kind of like quality is in the subconscious, and the energy about digging under the Sphinx and unearthing the mysteries is very much in our conscious awareness right now. So what to expect out of all of this? What is the effect of all of these? This is fun. Because this just came up for Scorpio, is the Lookout, number 17, so another trump card. This person is in their crow's nest looking out beyond as the ship they are on is on fire and burning. So, and then we have the Waterfall, which is the 6 of Forces, and the power of a waterfall. It's pretty obvious. So it's definitely about forces and creative energy and action, natural forces. The Lookout is an interesting card. It's basically saying that you definitely see, you have a larger, vast vantage point. You are looking at where you can go, what's happening, if there's more to the battle. You know, you're looking at the battle, but the reality is that you're also in a doomed position. And then you have this waterfall, which, you know, this rushing water just feels like, you know, it's almost like pouring down onto this ship that's on fire and like putting it out, but it's so forceful, like there's no controlling this at all. And there's so much natural power behind it. I think that what to expect is that we are gonna like, you know, we are seeing the bigger picture as Sagittarians, absolutely. And in some ways, this is like Mars and Sagittarius, like this lookout on this burning ship. You know, like I'm so courageous and I'm gonna stick to my post. But this waterfall is gonna either put out the fire or it's just gonna push us right off of here. This is interesting. I feel like that this reading actually is quite cryptic, and I'm having a hard time putting it into words, although I completely understand it, is that there's another step that's coming, and it might seem like kind of a disaster, but there's so much power behind it, and I think ultimately it's going to lead us to designing and building the next stage, but we don't really know what that is right now, and all we can expect is that we're going to be the lookout on a burning ship. But no fear, there's a stream of powerful water that's going to come and not only put it out, but it's going to power what we need moving forward. So I'm going to, let's see, move these out of the way for a second, and let's pull some animal cards for Sagittarius to give us some guidance as we move forward from this conjunction. The new moon is going to be on Friday in Aquarius, which is our 3rd house Sagittarius. So again, it's breaking free, and in this case, new intentions around freedom and rebellion. I'm going to take that one just because it's the unicorn. And it did pop up. Indulge your creative, imaginative, and magical side through some form of artistic expression. See, there's that 5th house again. It's very unicorn energy. Let's see, fourth house is Pisces, 5th house Aries. Yeah, absolutely. Don't be afraid to tap into your magic, tap into your creative self, and to be this unicorn. I think that's really gonna, again, Chiron, resolving Chiron for sure in Aries is really gonna help. And that feels like a lookout. The burning ship somehow feels like the Chiron in Aries. Like we don't have to stay. We don't have to stay on the burning ship crow's nest. You know, we don't have to feel bad about saving ourselves. And part of that is actually the saving ourselves is expressing ourselves and not being afraid to express ourselves as who we are and to value ourselves. So being the unicorn, And then again, oh, the penguin, the period of darkness that you've been experiencing is now passing. So again, I think that what to expect is that the lookout and that burning ship, but honestly, like it's already on its way out. And the waterfall is going to really give us a lot of power. Niagara Falls, do you know how much power comes from Niagara Falls? It's insane. I don't know how much, but I'm sure I could easily Google that and figure it out. But it's passing. It's already passed as far as I can tell.